Hello students, today I am going to explain you about ledger. Before understanding ledger, I would recommend that please be familiar with journal entries. That is much required because if your journal entries are wrong, then the amount should be wrong or the ledger balances should be wrong. So I would recommend please watch my previous videos on journal entries where I have explained the modern techniques where you can frame the journal entry without following the golden rules. So please watch those videos and then you can watch this video to understand how the ledgers are prepared. So before we start about how ledgers are prepared and all that, I will try to explain you that why the ledger is required. Okay. So when it comes to accounting entries, we learned that there are three types of accounts: personal account, real account, and nominal account. Correct. And with the help of these accounts, we prepare the journal entries. And journal entries basically is the business transaction. That means one event is happening, I am going and recording a entry. Correct. Next transaction is happening. Again, I am recording an entry for that. Correct. Now, question is, how do I know that for each item, what is the balance outstanding? What is the total expenses the company has incurred? What is the total sales the company has incurred? Right. In that case, we can't have many people sitting together and taking a calculator and start adding that what is the total amount spent on each category, right? So to make the recording easier, we need to group different type of items into different buckets, correct? So this grouping to specific account, the grouping part is called as ledger, where you are taking each different expenses or each different balance sheet item to a different particular account so that cumulative way you can see what is the impact on a particular date. Okay. To understand further, let's take an example which will be much easier for you to understand. Suppose you are staying in a hostel. Okay. You are staying in a hostel. You have received rupees 10,000 from your parents for monthly expenses. Okay. So your parent, they give monthly money to you so that you can spend your monthly expenses. Below are the expenses you have spent during the month. Okay. So we have a list and nature of expenses what you have incurred. Okay. So these are the dates you can see in the left side and these are the type of expenses. I will read out. 4th January on food you have spent 500. 6th January on auto expenses you have spent 100 rupees. 7th January on books you have spent 600. 15th of January tuition fee 2000 rupees. 17th January food 300. 19th January auto 200. 24th January medicine 400. 27th January books 200. 30th Jan rent 4000. So during the month you have spent on different dates different type of expenses. Okay. Now question is how you have spent. If somebody asks, okay, in what category, in what nature of expenses you have spent these 10,000 rupees. Now what will happen? You need to go and add, right? For example, food, how much you have spent? 500, that is on 4th of Jan, and then on 17th of Jan it is 300, correct? 500 plus 300, 800. Similarly, auto, it is 100 on 6th of Jan, and then on 19th of January you have spent 200. So 100 plus 200, 300. Similarly, books, 600 plus 200, 800. Tuition fee, medicine and rent, 2000, 400 and 4000. Correct. Now what is happening here? Either if I don't have any electronic device, I'll go to a diary and start writing the heading, like for example, food, one page is for auto, one page is for books, one page for tuition fee. And whenever I incur, in that page, I go and write the amount what I have spent. Correct. Now this grouping, like in diary, I have different pages for different type of expenses or different type of income. What are maybe the example? Each page is equal to ledger. Okay. So in this case, if you see here, the total expenses incurred by you is 800 plus 300 plus 800 plus 2000 plus 400 plus 4000. I just added up this above one. Okay. It comes to 8300. And what is the bank balance you have now? Correct. It is 10,000 what you receive from your parents minus 8,300 what you have incurred on all these expenses. Correct. So what is the balance outstanding with you? It is rupees 1700 which is available. Now if you don't do this grouping or you don't calculate the total expenses incurred, for you determining this 1700 is challenging, right? Unless you go and check in the bank balance what is the amount you have. Correct. Let's get into another example so that we'll have more clarity about preparing the ledgers. Now let's take into and business example so that we'll have more clarity how the journal entries are posted and how the ledger is prepared. So generally your journal entries, posted in a groove under ledger, right? So let's take a business example and try to understand that how the ledger is prepared. Suppose these are the 5 transactions what is happening in the business. Okay, we are not taking more transaction so that it will be easy for you to understand. So first is started business with rupees 15,000, paid into bank rupees 5,000. Okay, that means the business is getting capital of rupees 15,000 rupees, paid into bank 5,000 means cash received 10,000. Correct. So in this scenario, what is the journal entry we have to post? Cash account debited 10,000, bank account debited 5,000 to capital. These two are assets. Increase in assets are debit. To capital, capital is always credit. Hence 15,000 is credit. Correct. Second, bought furniture worth rupees 5,000 on credit from ABC Limited. So here the point here is that it is on credit. You are not paying in cash, right? So what is the second entry? Furniture account debited 5,000 to ABC Limited 5,000. Correct. Furniture is an asset, hence debited because it is increasing. ABC Limited is a vendor and it is a liability. Hence increase in liability is credit, right? Transaction 3, sold goods for rupees 10,000, cash received. Okay, so in this case you are receiving the cash. So what is the journal entry we are going to post? Cash account debited 10,000 to sales. Increase in cash is increase in assets, hence debited. Increase in sales is an income, hence credited. Okay. And transaction 4, paid rupees 2,000 to ABC Limited online payment. Okay, paid rupees 2,000 to ABC Limited. So who was the ABC Limited here? ABC Limited was the creditor, correct? From whom we buy furniture. But now you are paying only one portion of that. Out of 5,000, you are paying 2,000 rupees. So what is the entry here? ABC Limited debited because you are reducing the liability. Reduction in liability is always debit. To bank because your asset is coming down. Bank is an asset for the company. Credit given to bank, correct? And the last transaction is paid rent rupees 2,000 in cash, and rent is always a expense, right? So rent is debited with 2,000 to cash 2,000. Okay, so now these are the business transaction which is recorded in the journal entry. Now we have to do the grouping which is called as ledger, correct? So let's see how the ledger is prepared. Now if you see the ledger here, okay, I have created for capital, I have created for cash account. Okay, these are the accounts: furniture, ABC Limited, sales, and rent. So these are the 6 ledgers which is created in the books of the business so that the transaction can be captured in the correct groups. Let's start with the first example. The first journal entry was cash account debited 10,000, bank account debited 5,000 to capital 15,000 rupees. So when I prepare the capital account, okay, the technique what you should keep in mind, I repeat, the technique what you should keep in mind here. What is debited? Cash is debited, bank is debited, right? So what you need to do? Cash is debited means buy cash, buy bank 10,000, 5,000. Okay. Always you see that the entry flows in this way. If here the capital is credit, okay, in the ledger you are writing debit in the left side, credit in the right side. So if capital has to be credit, okay, always write the debit here. You can see here cash, bank, debit to credit capital. Learn in that way. Okay. So 10,000 plus 5,000 credit to capital, and here to balance carry forward. Okay, because this 15,000 has to go to the trial balance. This is the closing balance of the ledger. That means the capital balance is 15,000 rupees. Okay, always the amount where because the ledger has to be tallied. So 15,000 is here. To tally the ledger, I have to bring 15,000 here. So that will be balance carried forward. Okay. Next, if you see here, journal entry 2, furniture account debited to ABC Limited. Okay, furniture account debited to ABC Limited. So what I have to do now? I go directly to furniture account. Okay, furniture account debited to ABC Limited 5,000. So it will be reported in the left side. Correct. Furniture account debited. Here it was cash and bank credited. Correct. So you have to go with that symbol, so it will be easy for you to remember which area or which side to write. Okay, so to ABC Limited 5,000 and by balance carried forward 5,000, right? Because you have to tally 5,000. Okay, Third journal entry, cash account debited to sales. So what I'll do directly, if you see here cash, okay, the cash ledger, to capital 10,000, because when I received cash here, I have to report cash here, right? So cash account debited to capital 10,000. Okay. Here you have to keep in mind that cash, how much you receive? 10,000. Okay. Even in the entry you see to capital is 15,000, but you are getting cash 10,000 and you are getting bank 5,000. So you have to always record here as 10,000, right? Now to sales, because cash account debited to sales, right? What is journal entry? Cash account debited to sales. So cash account debited to sales 10,000. So total is 20,000 rupees here. Okay. Now coming to the sales account, what is the entry? I have cash to sales. So I have to write by cash credit sales. Cash debit credit sales. So 10,000 here. Okay. And to balance carry for her 10,000 rupees. Okay. Now point number 4 is ABC Limited account debited to 2,000 to bank. This is very simple. So when I created ABC Limited account here, okay, the first entry was furniture to ABC Limited, right? Furniture to ABC Limited. So I have to write buy furniture because furniture debited, credited to ABC. Furniture debited, credited to ABC 5,000 rupees. Now in journal entry 4, when you're making payment of 2,000 rupees, what you're doing? ABC Limited debited, ABC Limited debited to bank. ABC Limited debited to bank. Okay. And what is the balance carried for? 3,000 rupees. 5,000 in the right side, 2,000 already you have paid him, and the balance carried is 3,000 rupees, right? That means you have to still pay ABC 3,000 rupees. And the last journal entry is rent account debited to cash. Correct? Rent account debited to cash. So what will happen in this case? If you see here rent account you have, okay, rent account debited to cash. Okay, so if you see the technique of writing the ledger, always look into this debit and credit. That will give you the hint. So rent account debited, in the left side debit is there, to cash, correct? 2,000, and balance carried forward is 2,000. And if you see in the cash account now, in cash account you have to put here rent account debited, correct? Credit cash. What is the journal entry? Rent account debited to cash. So rent account debited, I have written credit in the right side. That is a technique you should use. Credit to cash. So rent 2,000 rupees in the right side. Now total cash received is how much? Through capital you received 10,000. By sales of goods you got 10,000. Total cash was 20,000. Correct? And now you have spent rent of 2,000 in cash, and the balance what is there with the business is 18,000 rupees. That is shown as by balance carried forward. Okay, always you have to keep in mind that in the right side we have to write by, in the left side you have to write to. Okay, so this is how you need to prepare the journal entries and ledgers. Okay, and let me know in the comment section if you have any specific case where you find difficult in preparing the ledger. I will help you, or if required I will prepare another video where I will explain complex transactions, how journal entries are prepared, and it will help you in understanding the concept. Okay, thank you.